What's up, everybody? Have, Hope everybody's having a good day, good afternoon, and a good night. It's your boy King Trini here with another video. Hopefully, I won't be long. Hopefully I won't be long. I'm just here to drop a video to pretty much react on the situation, what's going on with Kyrie Irving. Pretty sure all of you are familiar with what Kyrie's been going through the last, I would say, month, as far as the anti-Semitic tropes and things of that nature. As we can see, Kyrie's just been allowed to play basketball again. So I guess whatever rules and guidelines that was put forth for him to follow, I guess he's finished with those, and they allowing him to play basketball again. Now, if you want my opinion on the situation behind Kyrie playing basketball, I felt like he shouldn't have been suspended in the first place because I felt like Kyrie Irving just I didn't think he did anything wrong. Um, there's some people look at him making a post and thinking, he should be held accountable for that, sure, but I don't think that warrants you getting suspended or, costing you money. Um, Part of the reason why I don't think that warrants that is because there's been plenty of situations in which people have laughed at other people's pain or pretty much joked about other people's pain and they weren't suspended. Seth MacFarlane literally has a show called Family Guy, which they pretty much has made a living off of that, and nobody pretty much cancels the show or say he should be reprimanded or fined money or he should somehow should lose money. That is just a situation where we understand that's a show. The show is there for entertainment purposes, comedic value, and people they receive it in that light. But it's just a situation where, in Kyrie's case at least, that it's a silencing, or as some people put it, emasculation of pretty much a black man at that point. Um, and I can understand why those sentiments are there and where people are pretty much coming from when they say these things. Because when you look at it, it's like every time a black man speaks his mind on something, he gets publicly castrated. Nobody else really receives that type of vitriol, even when they do something wrong. Like I think one of the things that's been highlighted was when Don Imus called the women's basketball team, nappy-headed hoes. Yeah, he was fired because he should have been fired, but he also made $40 million after that. He wasn't reprimanded financially, or even when we thought he was being reprimanded financially, he actually seen a surplus in his financial gain. So it's like you can't really say he was punished or he was held accountable for what the words he decided to use, which was nappy-headed hoe. That's literally what he called them, and he directed it directly to women on the Rutgers basketball team who happen to be black, majority black. So it's like with what Kyrie was doing, and honestly, I'll post a picture of the movie that Kyrie promoted. Now, if you can see the screen, that's pretty much a cover of the movie in which Kyrie Irving is pretty much in trouble for. The name of the movie is From Hebrew to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. If you want to go into deeper, we can talk about the hypnosis of the movie and talk about the lies that was built around the movie and things of that nature. Um, because honestly, I think a lot of what Kyrie's backlash was pretty much based on lies. A lot of people said, the movie was about saying, the Holocaust never happened. They didn't really speak about the Holocaust. I watched the whole 3 hours and 30 minutes of the movie. He really didn't speak on the Holocaust. The worst thing he's done in that movie, and he said a lot of things. It was really like a bombardment of information and so-called facts from his perspective. But the only thing that I would look at that would say was anti-Jewish or anything, I'm not going to use the term anti-Semitic. I'm going to get that out the way. You're not going to hear me use that word because I'll get to that later. How about that? I'll get to that later. But there was really nothing anti-Jewish um, until he started rambling off the quotes from one was he had a couple of quotes about Hitler, and that can probably raise some eyebrows and raise some and cause an issue of concern. That can pretty much probably cause an issue of concern is the Hitler statements. But the thing that I'm finding is that Hitler wasn't the only person with these statements. In fact, there was a Jewish guy by the name of Harold Wallace Rosenthal, who he also quoted a bunch of times in this movie. With and honestly, this guy is Jewish, but you wouldn't think he's Jewish because a lot of the comments and thoughts that he's pretty much put down and written in books and things of that nature were very. It would sound like Hitler was saying these things. Um, that was pretty much the only thing outside of him explaining the origins of the Hebrew people. That was pretty much the only thing I would say it was really a shot at Jewish people. Um, or I could see why Jewish people is offended. When you quote Hitler, I can understand why Jewish people are offended. And if they don't like the Harold Wallace Rosenthal, I can understand why Jewish people are offended with him. But what I didn't understand was how the movie got you offended in its entirety when the movie didn't really speak on Jewish people. The purpose of the movie, as you can see, like in the title, the purpose of the movie was to talk about how black people have gotten either hoodwinked or confused in some sort, and I don't agree with that either, and I'll explain why I don't agree with his sentiments in this part. But excuse me, the thoughts were pretty much he was pretty much making linkage to pretty much ancient history and a lot of things, a lot of the regions in which black people in ancient history have inhabited, like um, Jerusalem, Israel, so forth and so on, places in the Middle East, which inhabited black people. He was explaining the linkage of black people to the Hebrew faith or the Jewish faith, and he was using the Bible to make this linkage. Now, the thing about it, if you believe in the Bible, I'm not one of the people to do it. If you believe, cool with you. But if you believe in the Bible, then what he is saying will make a lot of sense to you. And that's why, if you haven't watched the movie, I would recommend you watch it because there's a lot of information. The first 30 minutes of the movie, I would say, is more advertisement for other of a other Hebrew Israelites to get their business out there, to get what they do out there. So once you get past like the first 25 to 30 minutes of the movie, you get into the documentary and the information part of the movie. And when you get to that, you'll see he's really just making a linkage genetically with people in the Bible and black people. And that's how he's proving his point of black people being Hebrew. Um, do I agree with that? To some degree, yes. I do know for a fact that Israel was once a part of Egypt. And because I know Israel was once a part of Egypt, I know the people in Israel look like the people in Egypt. Now, there's another thing with this thing with whether or not what the Egyptians were in fact black. The Egyptians were black. The Egyptians knew they were black, and they even wrote it in their tombs that they knew they were black. They knew they were of sub-Saharan African descent, and they understood that about themselves. The Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, knew this, or the people who lived in Kemet at the time. That's what they called it. They didn't call it Egypt. They called it Kemet. Those people understood that they were black, and they very well knew it, and they made sure that they put it in hieroglyphics or in writing so people could understood this is what we look like and this is what we don't look like. And if I get a chance later, I will definitely show you proof that the Egyptians knew they were black. And one of the and we'll get to that. Now, as far as the biblical text go and him using Abraham to prove, and the sons of Noah and all of these people. Look, if you have the understanding that I have of the Bible, you would understand that none of these people are to be taken literally. The Bible are stories that contain truth. But the reason why the Bible are stories that contain truth is because they were hand-picked stories from through ancient time, hand-picked allegoric stories through ancient time that was purposely placed in the Bible. And they were placed in the Bible for their allegoric reasons, for the reasons of allegory. This is why even in the Bible, it tells you Abraham is an allegory. You can look it up. It says Abraham is an allegory. Now I'm gonna go through the synopsis of this movie so you guys, after I tell you that, I'm gonna go through the synopsis of this movie so you guys can really understand what this movie was about. It was not about bashing Jews. It was not about talking bad on Jews. If any, if I'll take that back. They did speak a little bad on Jews because they did say, there was a cover up of who the real Jews are. With that being said, that can be considered speaking bad. I would consider that speaking bad. So he did speak some ill will on Jews. However, he's speaking ill will under the understanding that something was taken from him. You can't expect somebody to speak highly of people who he thinks robbed him. It wouldn't make sense for him to do that. So I understand why he took the angle he took and things of that nature. But here's the synopsis of the movie. The movie Hebrew to Negroes Wake Up Black America uncovers the true identity of the children of Israel by proving the true ethnicity of Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, the sons of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Find out what Islam, Judaism, and Christianity has covered up for centuries in regard to the true biblical identity of the so-called Negro. And this movie packed with tons of research. Yeah, he did do tons of research. I would question, what kind of research he did, but he did do tons of research, and I'm not going to discredit that. Like I said, if you haven't watched the movie, you can go watch the movie. It's on Amazon Prime. I rented it. I didn't buy it for the $50. I rented it. I watched it for the purpose of giving y'all a video and the purpose of truly understanding what was going on with Kyrie Irving and why was people so mad at this movie. Now, when I watched the movie and I didn't see any of the things that people were saying, it was about, oh, he said the Holocaust was fake. The movie never said the Holocaust was fake. The movie never even talked about the Holocaust. They never even spoke on the Holocaust. I just told you the baseline of what the movie was about, and that's really the baseline of what he talks about. He talks about that for like an hour and a half. And another hour, he talks about the linkage between languages between the Hebrew people and certain Bantu cultures in Africa. Then after that, he talks about African Americans and what we went through. Like, he really didn't touch too much on the actual Holocaust. He quoted Hitler a bunch of times, and he posted a bunch of Hitler's quotes, but he never said the Holocaust was fake. I mean, it's kind of hard for him to say the Holocaust is fake, and he's quoting Hitler, one of the main architects of the Holocaust. So it's like, a lot of times people will tell you things knowing you won't do the research yourself, and they'll tell you something hoping you just take it and digest it as true when there's nothing true about it. Nothing in that movie said the Holocaust was fake. Nothing in that movie said the Holocaust was fake. I watched it twice. Nothing in that movie said the Holocaust was fake. I watched 7 hours worth of that movie. It's 3.5 hours long. I watched it twice. That's 7 hours. I didn't hear the Holocaust was fake. I didn't hear that at all. So we can put that to bed. If somebody's telling you that, you can put that to bed. That was never stated in the movie. It was never stated that the Holocaust was fake. The only thing fake that was stated in the movie is it said that European Jews are not the real Jews. It's the only thing that was being said. The only thing that was being said. That can be considered, oh, he said something is fake. That's the only thing that can be considered that. Outside of that, he didn't say anything about the Holocaust. It was mostly about making the linkage between black people and Hebrew, being Hebrew. That was mostly what the documentary is about. So when people tell you that, just please stop the bullshit. If you didn't watch the movie, don't speak on it. It's hard to speak on anything you haven't witnessed. Like, if you haven't watched the movie, don't speak on it. If you feel like Kyrie Irving was wrong, you 100% entitled to your feelings. They're your feelings. Your opinion. Your opinion. You're entitled to all of that. You're entitled to the free speech to express your opinion. But don't take another man's ability to do that also. Kyrie Irving should have the ability to express his free speech also, regardless of who it hurts or who it might be seen as controversial. Because everybody's entitled to their own voice and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Some people might find my opinions to be offensive. I don't care. I'm not hurting anybody. I find some people opinions to be offensive about me. But at the same time, I don't care. Just don't put your hands on me. There's a lot of people out there with offensive opinions about black people and about me. But I'm not going to tackle all of those. I can only tackle about what's in front of me. And what's in front of me, if you say that in front of me, you could say it, but you got to accept accountability for what happens to you after. Kyrie accepted accountability for what happened to him after. The problem was nothing should have happened to him. Nothing should have happened to him. Absolutely nothing should have happened to him. People saying nobody made a joke of Jewish pain or the Jewish plight. People joke about our pain and our plight, and we just let it go by willy nilly. Why? Because we understand we got to choose our battles wisely. But with some people, I guess they can just fight every battle and just get you canceled if you look like me, because you're easily cancelable if you don't have the complexion for protection. You know what I'm saying? But I know I'm rambling a little bit. But let's get back to this documentary, Hebrews to Negroes, and things I disagree about. Now I told you Abraham is allegoric. Therefore, all his sons are allegoric. Therefore, all his sons are allegoric. They should not be taken literally. They were only shared to you to give you a certain meaning of a story. Moses is really Mesis. It's an Egyptian story that was taken from Egyptian folklore and placed into the Bible to give you an allegoric story to get for a morale. At the end, every story has a moral to the story, and that was the purpose of any of the stories in the Bible. And it says it in the Bible. It says it in the Bible. It says it was written that Abraham had these sons and this, that, and the third, but these are allegories. That's specifically what it says. So that's one of the main reasons why I can't believe, I don't believe in a documentary when he says, oh, black people, are Hebrew. If that's what you want to believe, that's what you want to believe. Me personally, I know we inhabited that region of the earth, and I do know, or I think that region of the earth known as the Middle East was once a part of Africa. That's why they don't say it's Asia. They don't say it. They say the Middle East. The Middle East is not a continent. The Middle East is not a place. The Middle East was strategically made and created to take certain points within that region out of Africa so they can tell you Africans did not build it. They considered Israel to be the Holy Land. So they took it out and Israel is dead ass right in the middle it's dead ass in Egypt. It's not outside of Egypt. It's right on the borders. They took it out of Egypt so they can take it out of Africa because they don't want you to believe black people come from what is known as the Holy Land. They took Saudi Arabia out of Africa because they don't want you to believe black people built the Taj Mahal or had anything to do with it, even if we didn't build it. They don't want you to believe we had anything to do with anything over there. They don't want you to believe we had any cultural influence. They don't want you to believe that we had any ethnic influence, any kind of an influence. They don't want you to think black people had it in that region of the earth. So they take it out of Africa and they say it's the Middle East. Why not just say it's Asia? Because the Middle East would technically be Asia in modern times. But the reason why they don't tell you it's Asia is because that's where white people come from. White people come from the Middle East. They don't come from Europe. They migrated to Europe. And by taking that and putting it in Asia, it makes them Asian. That's why they didn't really want to coin the phrase Caucasian, because the word Asian is in. But white people literally come from Asia and they migrated into what is known now as Europe. Europe is not really a continent by definition of a continent. continent are the largest land masses on Earth. Europe is a group of islands that belongs to Asia. And they realized they wrote themselves in history, and a lot of people realize they wrote themselves in history, but that's why they call Europe now Eurasia. They try to make it one whole continent because they know white people wrote themselves in history by creating a continent that's not really a continent. Europe is literally the corner of Asia. It's literally in the corner of Asia. It is not a continent, by definition at least. This is a continent because we grew up in school learning it was a continent, but it's not a continent by definition. By definition, it's nowhere near a continent. Nowhere near a continent. Saying Europe is a continent is like saying the Caribbean is a continent. It's not a continent. They just wrote themselves in history. Now, another thing I disagree with this movie. He said the ancient Egyptians weren't black, and the thing he used to validate that was uh, a white Egyptologist, a female Egyptologist. I believe her name was Miriam. I can't exactly remember her name. Miriam Lynchum or something like that. She was an Egyptologist, and she pretty much said that the skulls that was found in Egypt weren't consistent with the skulls of um, sub-Saharan Africans, so therefore Egyptians couldn't be sub-Saharan Africans. I'm gonna show you something that's gonna disprove that right now. So the Egyptians couldn't be sub-Saharan African. I'm gonna show you a few things that's gonna disprove that. Excuse me. Okay. Let's see if I can find this. I'm sorry for the wait, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're gonna look at this. Now, if ancient Egyptians were not sub-Saharan African, how exactly can this happen? You share an ancient paternal lineage with Pharaoh Ramses III. This is me. This is my DNA result. Me, a black man in America, whose father is from Trinidad, mother is from Mississippi. Mother picked, grandmother picked cotton in Sunflower, Mississippi. I don't think my father picked cotton in Trinidad, but my father's damn near older than Trinidad itself. So how does a man like me end up with a Y chromosome from Egypt? How do I share a Y chromosome with an Egyptian pharaoh if they weren't black? The ancient Egyptians weren't black, but yet this looks like he's my what great 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 grandfather, possibly because I got the Y chromosome from my father. He got it from his father. He got it from his father. So it's a possibility he could be my great uncle or my great great grandfather. How is that possible if he's not black? Because last time I looked at myself, I was pretty African. Last time I looked, I do have some white DNA, but I don't think that Y chromosome came from a white man. Because at the end of the day, the ancient Egyptians were said not to be black, but they were said to be Semitic or Arab, and we're gonna get to that in a minute. That's why I didn't want to use the term anti-Semitic, but we're gonna get to that term We're gonna get to that in a second because I'm gonna show y'all something else that proves the Egyptians not only were black, but they knew they were black, they understood they were black, and they were proud of it. You know, yeah, they have a bunch of these. I'm trying to find the right one, at least the one that they found. Okay, yeah, this is the one I was looking for. This is the one. Sorry about that. Oh, see. Uh, Boom. Now you see that? A. The Egyptian seen by himself, black type. B. The Indo-European. Now, what is the Indo-European? The Indo-European are people who pretty much migrated to what is now known as Libya, or some of the people who lived in what we're calling Asia, but is known as the Middle East. C. The other blacks in Africa. Look at A and look at C. So the Egyptians knew they were black, and they knew they were black just like everybody else in Africa. Why would they show you this? Because they're trying to show you pride. They knew what they were and they were very proud of it. It's all in hieroglyphics. You don't even have to look at this. The Egyptians knew they were the descendants of Nubians. This is a known fact. It's written in hieroglyphics and it's written throughout history. The Egyptians migrated to what is known today as Egypt. They called it Kemet. From Nubia, modern day Sudan, I believe. This is a known fact. D, the Semite. Y'all see that, right? The Semite. Now, the Semite were people who were in Asia. Now, some people may say, "Oh, B, that doesn't that's not Jewish people. Look at the suburbs." No, these people technically didn't exist during this time. David wasn't born yet. David's supposed to be the father of all Jews. He was not born yet. If he did, if I was to agree that he was a real person, he was not born yet. He was not born yet. So therefore, no Jewish person walked the planet yet when this tablet was created. This tablet is, I believe, is known as the Table of Continents, and it was found in Ramses' tomb. And so Ramses, not I don't think it was Ramses the third. I believe it was Ramses the second, and they're not related. So we're clear. Ramses the second and Ramses the third are not blood relatives. But I believe Ramses the second made it his business to put this in his tomb. And one of the things they did with Ramses the second was they took his tomb and they buried it under a lake. They created a lake and buried it under a lake. It was honestly, it took a miracle to find it. They had to take each block of stone out of the lake and reassemble it, and then we found this. Don't tell me they can't create lakes. I live in America. You know how many lakes was old towns, old black towns that got flooded over? But that's another story for another day. But here's listen. If you need any more proof that the Egyptians was black, you look at me. You can look at this. It's quite evident that they were black, and you can pretty much go through any kind of you can go through years of publications, and the only people who try to take blackness out of Egypt are people who don't want you to have the understanding that black people can accomplish great things. We had a whole civilization with a class system that was working. Here's another piece of evidence to let you know the Egyptians were black. When Ptolemy Soter finally got into Egypt, he wanted to be ordained an Egyptian god king under the Egyptian order. And what the priest told him, and I quote, "We cannot do that because you do not look like us. If you want to be a king and a god king of this land, you have to look like us." That's exactly what they told him, and that's why Ptolemy started killing off priests until one of them said, "You know what? I'm going to do you the favor. I'm going to do you the favor because this, I'm not trying to die." Pretty much. That's another piece of evidence to let you know that North Africa was pretty much black. Now, if I show you the rest of them, I don't share any DNA with any North Africans. So how do I have an Egyptian chromosome? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because black people migrated. Once Ptolemy got there, it was like, oh hell no, I'm getting the fuck out of there. I'm not about to be under the leadership of this guy. He's out here killing people and burning temples. Nah, we out of here. And that's when you started to see a great migration of Africans out of North Africa into what is known as sub-Saharan Africa, um, West Africa, East Africa, and pretty much the lower parts of pretty much what they call sub-Saharan Africa. Anything under Northern Africa is sub-Saharan Africa. Anything under Northern Africa is considered sub-Saharan Africa. That's what they doing with that. Now back to this movie. What else we got to talk about with this movie anyway? I don't agree with the notion that the Egyptians weren't black, which is something he stated in that movie to try to prove his point that we come from Israel. But I'm like, bro, you can prove that point and not take anybody out of Israel, like because Israel was a part of Egyptian. It was a part of the Egyptian. If you want to say state or country, it was a part of the country. Like that's why when you continue to go through tombs and caves in Israel, you find Egyptian artifacts. It's because they were Egyptian too. Like they didn't call themselves Israelite. They called themselves Egyptians, or I'm not even sure how they would say it, but they were from Kemet. They were from Kemet, and they were part of the same empire that Egypt was a part of. That all answered to Ethiopia. That's why Ethiopia was so hard to conquer, because Ethiopia was the center of a lot of the main empire. That it was the center empire of what we know to be Africa, and the many empires that surrounded it, or many kingdoms that surrounded it. All those kingdoms pretty much worked together. Yeah, they had some issues. Nothing's perfect, but for the most part, they worked together under strong leadership or weak leadership. That's subjective. That's depending on who the person that's researching it, right? So they all work together. And I really don't understand where this ideology comes from, where people, I know where it comes from. Personally, one of the reasons why I do not agree with the main reason I do not agree with a lot of what the Hebrew Israelite people talk is because the Hebrew Israelite people have a shame or a contempt of Africa in which they're trying to remove themselves from. That's where that comes from. That's why they so gun ho on. Yeah, I'm from Israel. I'm not from Africa. I'm not African. Like, bruh, you do know they're mutually exclusive, right? Like, being Jewish does not exclude you from being African. It doesn't. Jewish isn't. It's a religious practice. African is your identity. It's the race you belong to. It's not exclusive. They're mutually exclusive. They're not. They don't have to be one and the same. And I think that's the problem. The problem, as far as with the Hebrew Israelites, is they want to take themselves away from the African race. But it's like, bruh, if you say you were part of 12 tribes of Judah, that whole phraseology is of African origin. Tribes, Judah, all that is African origin. So you can't be a part of a 12 tribes of Judah and not be African. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. But that's what I've noticed that a lot of Hebrews, Israelites do. They want to take themselves out of Africa because they believe being African comes with a stain. And me personally, I think as black people, you need to get rid of that mentality that was placed on you from white people. Get rid of that. It's not true. There's nothing wrong with being an African. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But now that we're done with that, let's get on to the word Semite, because I think I just showed y'all what a Semite is and where they come from. Now, the thing about the word Semite, and they want to throw the term anti-Semitic. Semites come from Asia. The Semitic group of people are Arabs. They're not Jewish. Arabs are the Semites. No Arab is up in arms about what Kyrie has said. So the term cannot be anti-Semitic. And, I heard Nick Cannon say, oh, black people are original. Black people are not Semites. That's another trope to get you to say you are anything but African. Black people are not Semites. I just showed y'all what the Semites look like. They light skin, sand, what they call the sand Negro. Those are the true Semites. Jewish people come from Germany. Germany is people of Germany, or Germany is in Europe. So if Germany is in Europe and the Jewish people come from that country, or at least the European Jew comes from that country, you're not a Semite. You practice a Semitic religion, but that doesn't make you a Semite. You are an Anglo-Saxon, a Caucasian, or European. The reason why this term anti-Semitic is being used, it's a code word. That when you label a black person anti-Semitic, it means the gloves are off, and because we don't have the complexion for protection, the gloves are off, and everybody can get their turn. It's almost like, yo, guy, go get him. He's over there. Gloves are off. He's unprotected. It's like a signal of unprotection. Y'all want him? Go get him. Because they did the same shit with Michael Jackson. The thing about it, Michael had a fandom that was too powerful to allow them to do that. Nobody was going to allow them to just say, oh, Michael's anti-Semitic. What the hell did Michael say that was anti-Semitic? He's singing a song. Y'all love the song. What are you talking about? Anti-Semitic. What's all this? The term anti-Semitic was literally created, and that's another thing. That's probably why they don't like the movie. That's probably why they don't like the movie. Because he broke down the creation of the anti-Semitic term and why it was created. And he didn't break it down using his words. He broke it down using, what's the guy's name from earlier I used? Harold Wallace Rosenthal. Harold Wallace Rosenthal broke down why the term anti-Semitic was created, and they did not like the fact that he put that in that documentary. That's honestly the only conclusion I can come to why they got so mad. Adam Silver wasn't even that mad. The commissioner of the NBA, He said, "I don't believe Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic." I don't believe that at all because I'm pretty sure they had a conversation. I'm pretty sure Kyrie Irving pretty much told him, "How could I be anti-Semitic when I consider myself a Hebrew?" But and that's Kyrie. If Kyrie considered himself that, listen, my sister would consider herself a Hebrew Israelite, up all the way up until the day she died. I'm not knocking nobody that considers themselves that. I'm just giving you the reasons why I can't consider myself that and why I disagree with it. If you decide you want to practice whatever religion you want to practice, that is your choice. Not taking that from you. Not taking that from you. Practice whatever religion you want to practice. The only thing I am here doing is I'm giving you information based on my knowledge and based on the situation at hand with Kyrie Irving and why it was so much backlash with him and Kanye and the anti-Semitic tropes. I'm just giving you my 2 cents on that. If you want to practice whatever religion you want to practice, be my guest. It's up to you. You choose the religion you practice, not me, or your parents. It's not me. No, not. I don't want any barons or any influence in that. Practice your religion. Practice it freely. Now, another thing is a lot of people want to talk about the flip flopping of the media when you have Stephen A. saying he should be suspended, and then Stephen A. saying, "Oh, it looks like a pile-on." And a lot of people came at Shaq because Shaq said he's a buffoon for playing the same for promoting the same movie that Shaq is showing in theaters. Um, what I will say to that, I will say that was black people. Y'all gotta stop dry snitching because somebody says something you don't like. That was dry snitching. Shaq may very well be playing both sides of the fence, and I don't agree with him throwing Kyrie proverbially under the bus, but maybe Shaq only did that because he understands he's in a position to put that movie in his movie theater. Y'all never thought about it like that? Like maybe Shaq said that just to get people off of Kyrie and concentrate on the exact what's the name. And I'm not trying to create excuses for Shaq. I don't think he should have said what he said about Kyrie. But I just don't like the fact that people was quick. Oh, he played in his movie theater. He played in his movie theater. He wanted to play in his movie theater. Maybe he's very aware he played in his movie theater. Maybe he just said that purposely as a strategic move. See, we don't know. We don't know. Um, we don't know the strategies of anybody, and it's very possible that Shaq knows he's playing that movie and he's just getting on the good side of the people just so they don't shut his fucking movie theater down. Like, yeah, he was a buffoon, but yo, go to my movie theater and if you see it, you can watch it. Like, that could very much be a possibility because Shaq could very much see himself like Kyrie Irving and say he's a Hebrew Israelite too. We don't know. We just jumping out the window, and that's why I'm happy Shaq didn't really respond, or at least I don't think he responded to any of that. He kept it pretty much on the Kyrie Irving situation with anti-Semitism, and he tried to keep it as PC as possible. You know, that's pretty much what he does. He keeps it as PC as possible, and he tries not to step on toes, which isn't a bad thing. But I think one of the things that black people need to get out of is wanting somebody to sacrifice everything when you wouldn't sacrifice a damn thing. Like it's a lot of people who want Shaq to sacrifice his whole livelihood, and you sitting up in there working where you work, and you're not sacrificing nothing. You working for a white dude too. You probably working for a Jewish guy too, but you're not willing to go up there and say what you want Shaq to say. Oh, because you don't make enough money and Shaq makes enough money to where he can lose that and still be good for the rest of his life. Who's you to make that judgment call? You don't know that man expenses. We all playing the game. As long as you live in this country, we are all playing the game. We all playing the game. So you can't judge another dude for playing it a little bit differently than you. He's just playing it a little bit differently than you. You can't knock that. I used to hate when people used to do that about Kobe. One of the things that I adored about Kobe was he showed me another way to be black. It wasn't about braids and baggy jeans and cornrows and all that other bullshit that they was telling you. This is black culture. No, he showed me another way to be black. And in showing me another way to be black, he showed me how to operate amongst these people who don't really want you here. And he showed me how to play the game. And he showed me how to maneuver in certain circles to where I'm not being publicly castrated. Because at the end of the day, we as men want families, right? And we can't have families if we getting publicly castrated because no woman wants to deal with a man that's publicly castrated. She wants protection. You can't get protected from a man that's being publicly castrated. And that's why I feel like, honestly, all of that is around Kyrie is just messed up because you taking money out of his pocket that can jeopardize his family. It's like y'all don't care when it comes to a black man and him being able to provide for his family or even have one. It's like screw him. You know what I'm saying? By any means. But I'm happy he's getting back on the court, and I hope he didn't capitulate 100% to all those needs because I do agree with Stephen A. Smith and the other people who flip flop. Some people say, but it was excessive. It was excessive. Where was Don Iman's sensitivity training? Where was his sensitivity training? Where was Amber Geiger's sensitivity training? She went in the home of a man and killed him. Does she get sensitivity training? What's in the, this guy, George Zimmerman, killed a teenager, got off, and makes jokes about it whenever he can get a chance to. Where's his sensitivity training? Where's his sensitivity training? Paula Dean called black people niggas. Where's her sensitivity training? Where's Brett Favre's sensitivity for the welfare system and the people who need it? Where's the sensitivity training for all white people when it comes to dealing with black people in this country and understanding the trauma that we have faced since landing here? Since we were brought here, we have been victims of the most heinous acts in human history. Where is the sensitivity training to get people to understand that? Don't need any, right? When it comes to us, don't need no sensitivity training. But when it comes to everybody else in us, we have to get the sensitivity training. I don't need sensitivity training on what happened with the Holocaust and Jewish people. The movie didn't talk about that. I don't need sensitivity training to find out what happened to Irish people when they came to America, whether they were arrested and had to do 7 years of servitude. And some people try to say that was honestly, some people try to say that and equate it to slavery of black people. 7 years of servitude is not the same as you being a slave until your dying days. Irish people came over here and were slaves in bondage for 7 years. After that 7 years, they had their own goddamn plantation. I noticed my grandmother picked cotton on an Irish man's plantation. So black people didn't have that luxury. We didn't have the luxury of freedom after 7 years. That didn't exist. So I'm tired of people using that. So you cut that out. And I know I'm veering off, but I'm tired. You'd be surprised at how many times I've heard, well, Irish people were slaves too. Black people weren't the only slaves in America. Nah, but we were the only motherfuckers in slavery for 600 years in America. There was no time stamp on our slavery. Everybody else had a time stamp. Do this for this amount of time and you're good. Black people didn't get that. In order for us to get freedom, we had to literally fight like hell. Kill some people, shake rooms up, do a whole bunch of shit we really didn't want to do. We didn't want to kill nobody. We just wanted freedom. You know we didn't want to kill nobody. If we wanted to kill anybody, y'all wouldn't have enslaved us in the first place. Y'all only enslaved black people because they were the most peaceful people y'all could find. Tried to enslave the Mayans. What happened? They went to war with you. They went to war with y'all. And even us, we went to war once we found out what was happening to us. We thought we were just helping y'all out. Then we found out what was happening to us, then we went to war. That's why Nat Turner exists. Then Mark Vesey, etc., etc. But back to this movie at hand. I don't even think I have anything else to say about the movie. I think y'all get the drift. Most of what people say about the movie is false. If you haven't watched the movie, watch it yourself and develop an opinion about the movie yourself. Don't sit up there and take, oh, they said the Holocaust. It never said that in the movie. It never stated. It never stated anything. Only thing it stated was fake was European Jews aren't the real Jews. That is the baseline of the entire movie. And he goes through the biblical reason why they not. He goes through the linguistic reasons why they not, and he goes through geographical reasons why they, or why he considers them not. Let me say that because I can't tell you. Listen, I can't tell you whether or not I believe because honestly, my sister was an Israelite, so I don't think race plays a role in whether or not you want to be a Hebrew or a Jew. Like it doesn't play a role. I've seen black Jews, I've seen white Jews. It does not play a role. So, however you want to look at that, but for the most part, most of what is being said about and if what was being said is the reason why the anti-Semitic trope, all of that was a lie. All of that was a lie. All of it was a lie. Like we canceling him, we finding this man and telling him he got to do sensitivity training based on a lie of people who never watched the damn film. That's that's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But that's my video for today. Any question, comments, concern, leave them in the comment box. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me at blackbridgesbkny at gmail.com. You can send me videos you want me to review. You can send me topics you want me to talk about. Or it's pretty much if you have any suggestions on, feedback on how to make the videos better. If you have an issue with the sound you can't hear, just let me know. Drop all the information and drop whatever comments or drop whatever comments you have or whatever suggestions you have in the comment box. I'll read them when I can. And thank you for tuning in. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, get Black Bridges out there to many people as possible. I also have a Discord, which I will be dropping in the description box, in the description, so you guys can join the Discord and get you can get a load of me. You can contact me on the Discord. It's also a business page where you can promote your business on the Discord. And if you like gaming like I do, because I'm a video gamer on my free time, you can also, meet up people that you like to play games with, such as Call of Duty, NBA 2K, whatever game you like to play. Talk to me. I'll try to add a tab for you so you can get your people in there and try to meet people up in the video game aspect of things, and just game and just have fun. The thing about gaming is some games are stressful, but it helps with stress, and it does help with some people who are shy to get out there and meet some people. Just don't come in the Discord talking all this smack and disrespecting people. I don't tolerate that. I'll kick you. I'll definitely kick you in a minute. But like I said, blackbridgesbkny@gmail.com. Email me, any suggestions, any videos you want me to review, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.